We are approaching the end of the year. We are approaching the end of this Congress and the end of the January 6th committee. And the committee has done its job. It's released its long-awaited comprehensive final report on the attempted coup and the insurrection. I think a fair-minded reading of that report leaves no doubt that Donald Trump committed crimes in pursuit of overturning the results of a free and fair election, which he had lost. Which is why the committee concluded its official business by making multiple criminal referrals of the disgraced ex-president to the Department of Justice. But the decision to prosecute Trump will ultimately have to come from the Department of Justice, which is currently sitting on a mountain of evidence. And special counsel Jack Smith, who was appointed by Attorney General Merrick Garland to oversee the investigation into Trump. If Donald Trump gets indicted, and that is a big if, 2023 is almost certainly the year it would happen. Andrew Weissmann knows something about the tightrope investigators must walk when investigating potentially criminal conduct by Donald Trump, having served as lead prosecutor in Robert Mueller's special counsel's office. Andrew, first of all, let me ask about the question of evidence and the question of evidence obtained by the committee and some of it being publicly disseminated, right? It belongs to the American people, transcripts and that like. What does that do to the investigation happening over in Jack Smith's office in DOJ?
It's extremely unusual to have that amount of evidence in the public domain, and it does make their job harder. On the other hand, it's important to remember that because the House is flipped and it is going to be in the hands of Republicans, Donald Trump was going to get this anyway. So I think the fact that it's made public is actually only at this point, given the realities of the situation, only has an upside, which is public education. Because it's really important to remember that if, as you said, it's a big if, but if Donald Trump is going to be indicted, it's going to be extremely important that the public understands what those charges are and why they're consistent with Department of Justice policy and other cases that were prosecuted under like circumstances. So that public disclosure, I think, is very useful.
You said it makes their job, Jack Smith and the prosecutors and investigators working under him and at the Department of Justice, it makes their job harder. Explain why.
Sure. Well, we used to term this as puddle jumping. If you are a defendant and you are trying to obstruct justice, it is very useful to know what the government knows and what it doesn't know, who to attack, who to try and get them to change their story. It is extremely useful for the government to have essentially all of the cards and for people not to know whether if they lie, they could get caught. And because it gives an incentive then to be truthful,
right?
Because people generally don't like to go to jail. So having all of this made public is something that has a plus and a minus. It's a plus for the American public. It is a minus because defense counsel and defendants are going to pore over this for any and all inconsistencies.
Given your role on the Mueller team, given the timeline of that investigation and ultimate report, and given the timeline of the events post-January 6th, which we're approaching the 2-year anniversary of, how do you conceptualize the timeline that Jack Smith and his office are working on here in terms of making some kind of decision either way?
Well, I agree with you that if it's going to happen, it's going to have to happen in this upcoming year. It just doesn't make any sense for it to be prolonged. It is also really worth pointing out that the state charges are very important and worth keeping an eye on, because those are charges that if there were to be a Republican president, they cannot be pardoned because state charges are not subject to a federal pardon. One thing I do think it's useful for people to keep an eye out for in terms of looking at the timeline is very much going back to your discussion with Adam Schiff is, are enablers being prosecuted? One thing that we have not seen, which is extremely unusual, is we haven't seen any prosecutions whatsoever of people who've been enabling. If you look at any sort of prosecution, whether it's the special counsel investigation with Robert Mueller or any sort of gang case where you've got a group of people, it's very common to charge people going up the ladder and to get them to flip and cooperate. And so I think that is something that people should keep an eye out for. as this goes forward as a sign of progress, because it is extremely unusual not to have seen any of that so far.
That's such an important point to keep our eyes out for. In terms of that Georgia Fulton County grand jury, that's a special grand jury that's been impaneled, and they're expected to produce a final report, and then that ultimate decision will be made by the district attorney there in Fulton County, Fani Willis. Andrew Weissmann, thank you so much for your time tonight. Appreciate it.